Welcome to the Voice for Dads podcast.
Hey guys, and welcome to this episode of Voice for Dads. I'm joined by Ian in the studio. Hi Ian.
Hi Scott.
How are you?
I'm bankrupt, thanks for asking.
So we've been talking a bit before we come on air here, and you've got a lot that you want to talk about.
Yes, I hope it's not too confusing for the listeners.
So we're going to try and add structure to this, aren't we? But even I was getting a bit confused when we're talking.
Listen, I'm involved in it and I'm confused as well. So,
right, so let's give us a brief rundown. What brings you here today?
Well, my motivation has been that a lot of fathers are not they're not confident coming forward about their cases. A lot of them think that they're alone, and that people aren't going through what they're going through. That they're afraid to be open, and I've always been quite open about the situations that I've been in. It's encouraged other people to come and speak to me in private about their own situations, and I've helped them when I can. But the timing of this has been quite opportune, because my oldest son is now 18. I've finished both the court proceedings in Scotland and England.
Let's go right to the start though. How many kids do you have?
Oh, okay. So I have 3 children. 2 of them are with one of my exes in Glasgow, and I have another one who lives in West Cumbria.
Right. What's their ages?
The oldest one, like I said, he's 18. And he lives in Glasgow. This is the confusing bit. I have another one who is 13, and that's the one that lives in England.
Yep.
And I have a daughter who's 9.
Right. Okay.
And she lives in Glasgow.
She's in Glasgow.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. There's one in the middle that lives in England.
Right. Okay. So, contact. Are you seeing any of them?
No, I'm not seeing any of them. My eldest, I haven't seen in probably 3 years now. It's something similar for my younger boy. And I have spent all of 15 minutes with my daughter in her entire life.
Mm-hmm. So how does it come to be that you have 3 kids to 2 different women, one in the middle, and you aren't seeing any of them?
Well, my eldest was born with a long-term girlfriend, and without going into the depths of it, we broke up within 9 months of him being born, because she was cheating on me. Mm-hmm. I eventually caught her, or found out when he was about 9 months old. Confronted her, she denied it. Showed her the screenshots, still denied it. And I gave her a chance. She didn't take it, and so we broke up, and she got with one of the guys she was cheating on me with. Fast forward 4 years, I as any single guy was enjoying myself, and as part of that, I ended up getting one of my girlfriends pregnant very quickly. It was not an ideal situation, because she lived in London at the time. She was Glaswegian herself, and she was up regularly to see her granny, who had cancer. At the time, my mum had cancer, so we bonded over that, and we had great banter together. It was quite good. So she was regularly up, and so the wee man was born, and our relationship lasted maybe about 18 months. It's easy just to blame them. She had a bit of a temper. I was stubborn, mm-hmm. And it just wasn't really much of a match. And we fought quite a lot.
So you're together for 18 months before she falls pregnant?
No, 18 months after the wee man was born.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, sorry,
Yep.
this is where it's all confusing. So
Yep.
we'd, she'd fallen pregnant. It was just a bit of a mess because my mum died not long after she found out she was pregnant.
Mhm.
I was in a really poor place, which, to be fair, was stressful for her too. But I got my head straight. Said, okay, well, this is, this can work. Let's do this. So we formed a relationship, and it was going pretty well, to be honest. I thought the wee man was born, and then a few months later, she just she starts getting a bit more forceful about things, and I stand my ground, have pretty bad fights all the time, and they just turn into endless fights, and so we broke up. By this point, she's moved from Glasgow. She had been in London. She moved up to Glasgow for a maternity leave, and we both at the time worked in the nuclear industry. So I helped her, or pointed her in the right direction. She got a job down in Cumbria.
Right.
And
So she moved down there after you separated?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
what age was your son at this point then when you separated?
Well, he'd been about a year and a half.
Right, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, that had been pretty rocky. My eldest boy absolutely doted on his little brother. I mean, they were just phenomenal. I've never seen a brotherly relationship like it.
Right.
Anyone with siblings will have fought with them. But my eldest, he's a walking riot. Absolutely fantastic. So much confidence and energy. It wasn't about repressing it. It was just pointing him in the right direction, and he just ran with whatever he was given. It was
so
phenomenal.
what was the age gap between the two brothers then?
5 years.
5 years.
He was very, very protective of his brother, especially when he could get up and interact, as he got older. And so the elder one, he moderated himself, and the younger one, who's more reserved, came up. So they met in the middle
together.
and they were just, I've never seen brotherly relationship like it. They were so good together. So, in amongst this, not sure how much detail you want my daughter, but basically this guy that my eldest mum had got together with, they eventually married, and I don't think she particularly liked him, to be honest. I had a wager with my solicitor that the marriage would last 2 years, and it lasted 18 months. And given what had happened before, I was pretty wary, of what was going to happen. But she wants to spend more time with me and my eldest, and actually the younger boy as well, because she kind of quite liked. He's a really charming wee guys. I mean, at 13 he's a smelly teenager, right enough, but back then he was charming, really charming wee boy. And yeah, we ended up. It took me months to trust her again, but she was more mature. She was more rounded as a person after all this.
Yep. So you say you took months to trust you again. So this is your youngest son's mum.
Eldest.
Say it.
So it's the older boy's mum.
Older boy. Sorry. Right. Okay. Right.
Yeah.
So you get back with her.
This is why it's confused. I struggle to keep track of it. Never mind anyone else.
Yeah. So you get back with her, and how long do you last that the second time?
It was probably about 18 months ish. So yeah, about 18 months. And it was going well. Like I said, the insecurities had all gone. She was a much more rounded person, and I thought probably with some bias, there's actually a chance to get my original family back, because I had been very much in love with her at the time, and having a family was so good. It was so absolutely devastating. I say anyone who's been in that position, that you find out your partner's cheating. I mean, male or female, to be quite straight, to find out the person you're incredibly in love with is doing the things they're doing. So I thought, well, I'll take a chance here.
Yeah.
And so
what
things
caused it to break down a second time?
was well, the older one was getting ready for a scout camp. We were in a scout hall, and what happened was I was being a bit short with him because he was a riot.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to get him ready so he can have his time. He wanted to play with his friends. And
What age was he at this point?
He was 8.5.
Right, okay.
So one of the mums in there took it upon themselves to report me to the scout leader. Says, I think that boy's being abused, all this stuff. So the scout leader spoke to him, said, you're right. Said, yeah. Does your dad hit you? And he said, yeah, but in a good way, like play fighting as you do, especially a boy with that kind of energy,
Mm-hmm.
So he, in the report he submitted, he said he didn't have any concerns himself, but they had a duty to report it.
Mm-hmm.
So he reported it. Went to social work. Social work wanted to speak to his mum. She blew up. They spoke to me, and they said, this is no good. We heard that 2 weeks ago that you smacked his bum, which is just a single smack in the bum. They said it's not illegal, but it's not socially acceptable. Don't do it again. I was all right. But she went to town on this. So the social worker had said, we don't recommend that he sees his dad the following weekend. He was due to have the weekend with me.
You say she blew up, as in blew up at you?
Yes.
Right, okay.
So I was a bit confused. It was like, come on, you know what the two of us are like together, me and my son. And she occasionally chipped in. If I'm tickling him, she'll start diving and, get him in a headlock or whatever. Because he just liked that kind of rough play.
Yeah.
And I was trying to be reasonable and everything. So they'd recommended that I don't see him the following Friday because he felt guilty that he got me into trouble. And the following weekend, he stays the night at my dad's. I'm not allowed to be there without supervision, she said. And so I turn up the next morning for him to get breakfast. She was coming to collect him, and I was hoping I could maybe speak to her. So she turns up with her husband to collect him. And
so this is a husband that you wagered that would only last 18 months?
Yeah.
So she gets back with him. Right.
Well, as I found out, in fact, they got back together about 2 months before that. So she was seeing both of us.
Right, okay.
So, we at the house, I go down the driveway to the street, see the husband's there, and I turn around and just walk by. I'm like, I've had enough of this. She's obviously been at it. I was a mug, etc. And my boy runs up the driveway behind me and says, "Daddy, where are you going?" And I says, I'm just going back in the house. And he said, is it because he's here? I said, I'm sorry, but yeah. And he goes, does this mean we can't be a family anymore? And I said,
so was he there to get dropped off at you, or was he there to get picked up from you? What was happening?
He was to be collected from my dad's house.
To get collected from your dad's, right, okay.
So this all happens outside my dad's house. So he says to me, does this mean we can't be a family anymore? And I was like, I'm sorry, but that's how it is. So he runs down the driveway, gets in the car, and says in the car, Daddy was crying because we can't be a family anymore. And she's hidden this from her husband. So she gets home and goes absolutely to town on me. How dare you? He's heartbroken. You've done this. You've done that. And I think it was...
text message?
Yeah.
Text message?
Yeah. You're a monster. How dare you? You're so bad to him. You beat him up. You do this. And I'm like, what on earth? Why? Unbeknownst to me, because this all came out in court paperwork later, the weekend after that, she officially found out she was pregnant.
Right, okay.
And this was just, I believe, was her overreaction was her opportunity to get me out of his life so she could go back and play pretend with her husband.
Right.
Because the reason they'd broken up was because they had, she was told she would never have children, but obviously met me, and we were more compatible. And she wanted to go IVF, and he said, "But I'm really not that fussed. I'm actually fine with him. You know, I'm fine just being a stepdad. It's fine. He's a delight. It's fine." So today, I then found out in, I think it was in February, that because the elder boy during one of the contact let slip that he was having a little sister. And I was a bit devastated. I thought, oh my God, they've got back together and they have gone IVF.
That quickly. Mm-hmm.
You know, I thought, well, this is terrible. Didn't even think anything about it. And my dad's girlfriend, who's a nurse, said to me, "Are you sure that that's not yours?" And it hadn't even occurred to me. It was only because she said so. And so I started working the dates back. When do you find out the gender of the baby? There's a 20-week scan. 20 weeks ago, we were still together. Mm-hmm. In fact, we had a romantic weekend that you know, at that point in time. At the date of conception, I sort of calculated. So I messaged her and said, "By the way, we need to talk. If you found out, you must be a 20-week scan." She goes, No. It was a 13-week scan, and it was an opportune angle that we could see. I was like, cool story.
So she's trying to say that this child is with her husband that she's with at this point.
That's right. Mm. So yeah, what followed on then was, I was like, you know, I'd seen her in court physically, and she was enormous, and I said, there is absolutely no way that you are, however many weeks it was at the time, you're ready to drop. She goes, absolutely not. You know, it's just the baby's big. You know, all the excuses.
Why were you at court? Why did you see her in court?
Well, because she'd stopped. At this point, she stopped pretty much all contact with my boy.
Your oldest son. Right, okay, so you took her to court then to say...
Well, I didn't have any choice, but yeah. So, and the part of the reason it dragged on was we'd gone to court very quickly, actually. So this happened in November 2015, and we were in court in December. So only 4 weeks or something we got into court. They ordered a social work report. Social work said, we've absolutely no issues with this. They spoke to my son, who was interviewed with, if I remember rightly, was both his mum, his stepdad, and his granny in the room. And he said, "Do you want to see your dad again?" And he said, "Maybe." And the social worker then said he doesn't want to see his dad, and he's very clear about that. So she contradicted herself in the social work report.
Just to go back against what age was your son at this point?
So he's still 8.
Right, okay.
So
you put an 8-year-old in a room getting interviewed by a stranger, and then he's got his mum, stepdad, and granny there. So you're not going to get fair responses, are you? You're not going to get accurate answers.
No, and I found out much later, and unfortunately at the end of the proceedings in Scotland, because this went on for 8 years, this mess. I found out that, in fact, his grandmother was using her. She used to be a inspector for the Care Commission and knew all of the social workers in Glasgow, and she used her connections to influence it. Because the social worker from Rutherglen Social Work, I don't know if I can name her, but it was nepotism, pure simple nepotism. She told them what to write. And put in a report. So there was it was all loaded.
Were you going to court and getting reports that were actively against you?
Yeah, yeah. And I wasn't aware that she was pregnant at this point she was and her husband was. She'd lied about when she found out. Her husband, being completely oblivious to this, had put the actual dates into his statements, which totally contradicted hers. So I'm at a sudden loss. It's like, it just felt really surreal. What on earth is going on here? What happened turned out to be nothing. I got a telling off from social. I'm smacked my kid's bum once, one smack because he was misbehaving, and that was it. I suddenly turned into this avalanche of, you're terrible. You beat him. You oppress him. You're doing this. Social worker then saying he shouldn't see his dad, and I just couldn't work out what on earth was going on. It was fine. She's obviously taking me for a ride, and she's gone back to her husband. Well, silly me, I'm just a mug.
Yeah, so you think she's trying to push you out of your oldest son's life so she can go and play happy families with a daughter who's coming along, and that
I didn't know about, because I didn't find out until 2 months later.
Yep. But in her head, she's wanting to play happy families, saying to this guy who's completely oblivious, we're going to have a kid together. Yeah. And she knows and that that's not the case.
Yeah. But later on.
Yeah. So you find out the dates. February, you said, was it? You said on court.
So we've been in court in December, and then again in February after this court this social work report.
So you could physically see that she was.
No, this was again. I mean, because we were in court several times. So I think it was February and then April and then or May. So she was only about 8 weeks away. So whatever it is, 32 weeks or something, and she was huge.
Yeah, I'm saying, so you could see that in court, and you're going, this isn't really...
So it was really obvious that she was very pregnant.
Yeah. So what happens then? When did the baby come along?
Well, I said, if you had your 20-week scan at whenever it was, say February, I said, you'll be due to drop in July. She goes, no, due date's September. You're a liar, all this stuff.
Yeah.
And as I found out again later, because it was in the court paperwork, the due date was supposed to be the 19th of July, and because I had to go and work it all out, text message, all this stuff, I'd guessed the 18th of July. So I was out by 1 day, and I made
going by the date of conception that you could work out was that weekend away.
Yeah, because at the time I was working in London, so there was only certain weekends we were spending together, so it was pretty obvious it's that weekend, especially because at this particular one we were having an exchange about what we were doing together.
Yeah. So what happens next once the baby comes along? How does she keep this guy believing that he's the dad?
Well, he's just believes what his wife says. He was there at the birth. He cut the umbilical cord, all this sort of stuff. Because he's a paramedic. So he wasn't squeamish about any of that. And she sends him in with the certificate of birth, so the record from the hospital and his marriage certificate, and goes into the registrar's office and registers the birth. Anyone who's a first time father would be like, oh my God, yes. Yeah. Look at me, I've got operational sperm.
So he goes in and registers your daughter.
Yeah.
And puts down that he's the dad. Right, okay.
So the baby was born, my little girl. I had people who were giving me the details. I'm very, very grateful for people who have supported me through a lot of this. You've no idea. I could never have gotten this far without some incredible friends. So they told me, baby's born, and born 5 days early. 5 days early. 5 days earlier than what I predicted.
She was still claiming September, so the baby was born.
So
severely premature. If
beginning of July, so July, August, September. So it'd be 3 months early.
Yeah,
it would be a very sickly child. All this. No, absolute healthy squealing baby.
Yep.
All that stuff. So at this point, again, we're still going through all this. She's still trying to hide or prevent me seeing my son. I'm hemorrhaging cash, as I have done for the last 10 years. Still spending the money, making London money. And I'd said way back in the February to my lawyer, very, very good guy, he's retired now, unfortunately. I said, by the way, that child's mine. And he goes, all right. And I showed him dates, and he's like, this is going to be a difficult one. So in the weeks running up to the baby being born, he approaches her solicitor and says, by the way, my client thinks that your client's baby is his. And she said, oh, this is a really sensitive issue. She's about to or has had the baby. Said, okay, well, let her get settled and then approach the issue. So I think the baby's, a week, 2 weeks old. And says, by the way, your ex Ian says this child could be his. She said, absolutely no chance, no way, definitely not, definitely my husband's, all this stuff. And said, well, he wants a DNA test. And she goes, absolutely not, no chance, definitely not. And actually her own solicitor said, well, if the
exactly.
baby's...
If you're so confident, why would you not do it?
It wasn't even that. It was like, well, okay, well, let's just prove it then. It's not absolutely the solicitor believed everything. Yeah. It's like, okay, well, that's fine. And I'd made a suggestion to my solicitor. I said, look, if it's not mine, I'll pay for the DNA test. If it is mine, we'll go halfers. And he goes, oh, I'll never go for that. And then her solicitor says, all right, well, if it's not his, he can pay for it. If it's not, we'll go halfers. Much to my solicitor's surprise. And let them pick the lab. Proper Ministry of Justice approved DNA lab. I'm working in London or outside London, so I'm straight in the train into the lab. They said that I had to go to do the samples, chain of evidence, the whole shooting match. And 2 weeks later, you get the result. And the result was that was my baby.
How do you get the result? How do they tell you that?
Well, you get it in post, but me being eager as I was phoning them.
Hounding them?
I was absolutely hounding. They said, no, the results will be in tomorrow, and then tomorrow comes. And I'm like, have they come in yet? No, the post arrives at 12 o'clock. I'm like, right, okay, phone them.
What happened then when you found out? What was your reaction?
Oh, well, yeah, I'm working in a secure place, defence secure. Not I was in a prison, and so I have to go to an external place and go and phone them, and I was like, yes, it's my, I'm a very, very paternal person. I have blooming daddy instincts. I am daddy bear, and it was
so
just
excited.
I was absolutely fleeing. Not helped by actually being put on sertraline, which really makes you feel like you're high most of the time anyway. But this was just like I was through the roof, and I came out this little side office, bumped into one of the other engineers, and you could see a look in my face, and I just said, "He's mine." She's mine, and he just gave me a big hug right there and then. So yeah, I was like, oh, that's amazing. I got my mobile, went out to my car to get my phoned the lawyer. I says, it is, and he's like, oh, Ian, oh my God.
He's like, what we're going to do now?
Congratulations, but oh my God.
What a fight we've got in our hands.
What a mess. So
what happens next then?
Well, I went back to my desk and I was like,
were you still able to contact
I'm going
her?
home.
Did you text her? Like, were you able to communicate with her?
No. Well, by this point, she's changed her number, and she claims it's because I'm sending her abusive messages, which was not the case. She hadn't paid her phone bill. I mean, she was notorious for it. She'd let her phone bill run to like 300 quid and then not pay it and change networks.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, you've not to speak to me because you're an abuser. Cool. So I'm back at my desk and I'm just like, I could not. I just was like buzzing. Went in to see my boss, my baby. I'm going home, and I hadn't drank for 9 months by this point because I pretty much had a nervous breakdown, or came short of having a nervous breakdown, so I ended up in the Sertraline. And, skipping to my car, straight into, drove to the station, parked up on the train, texting everyone I could think of,
Mm-hmm.
I'm a dad again, I've got a daughter, and had a couple of miniature bottles of champagne on the train to celebrate. Went straight to my head because I hadn't drank for 9 months. So I was absolutely buzzing, and
So what did you do next in terms of like where do you go as a dad finding out you've got a daughter in that situation? You can't talk to the mother. What do? Just go straight to the lawyer and instruct?
Yes. So we both got it by got the actual paper copy by post. She's obviously gutted, and she hasn't told her husband.
How do you know this?
It was in the court paperwork.
Right. Okay.
Because she refused to accept the results of the DNA test.
Didn't sort of narrative.
Yeah. She I said I want her name changed because it was absolutely god awful. Frankly, I mean, it's they gave her a hideous name, and it's all, most of it's from his family. Right. So none of that should, to my mind, none of that should be in her birth certificate at all because she's no connection to these people.
I agree.
So we said we want the birth certificate changed. We want to give her a real name, a proper name that both her mum and dad have decided together, that reflects her Norwegian heritage. But I'm Norwegian or half Norwegian, and my oldest boy is very big. What do you call it? Scandalophile, perhaps, is the best way of putting it. He just loves Norway and everything to do with Norway. So she refuses all of this. So I'm like, but we're going to have to take him to court. And the thing was, because his name was on the birth certificate, I had to take him to court as well. I had to take the husband to court.
Right. Okay.
So she denies all of this, and
I'm trying to put myself in his shoes. You would come across and go, what? And then I would probably reach out to you and saying, can't believe this has happened, and yeah, try and deal with this. But anything from him then? No?
Not at all. I mean, he just seemed to accept it.
Bizarre, isn't it?
You had a guest on with the was it Paternity Fraud UK?
Mike, yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's kind of there's an important part. I think that people will forget that there's another side. There's another party in here that is I've never seen acknowledged anywhere, and that's the actual dad, the father of that child. Because especially in our case, we already had a boy together, and she'd clearly only come back to me to get pregnant to save her marriage. That, I want, and I have fought so hard for 9 years, 10 years, to be part of her life, and I'm not. And
your daughter's only weeks old still at this test comes through, so you find out.
Oh, she's 6 weeks by this point, I think.
Right. Okay. So why is she now 9 and you're still not in her life?
Well, because it's really hard to describe, and a lot of people wouldn't get it, was that they just constantly threw spanners in the works, constantly.
Is it because the family courts have failed to put your daughter first?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The sheriff that presided over this was Sheriff Mackey, and I mentioned him to someone else who works in family, not my solicitor, but someone else, and he said, "Oh yeah, Sheriff Mackey is notoriously cautious," and what that means is that he does absolutely nothing, and he did nothing. So we went to court. I went through every course on separated parents. What do you call it? There was like one for coaching kids where I had to like try things to make me a better parent. So I had
So
to
who was recommending these to you? The court?
There was a mix of the court. There was also Families Need Father Scotland was one of them. So I was voluntarily doing these courses to prove that, in fact, I'm a good dad and I can be part of these children's lives.
But did you get any of them recommended from the other side? From her, was she recommending you need to do these courses?
No. The only thing she ever
I was
said,
thinking it could have been a stall factor.
It was, and the only thing she ever said was, or her solicitor said in court, my client still has concerns. So I go and do all the stuff. We get a report, and it's a good. There was a bad one in there actually. Sorry, I forgot to mention that, and it was around about the time my daughter was born, and it was a contact centre in Glasgow, and I saw him twice. I saw my son twice, and I made mistakes. I thought we could be as rough and tumble as we normally were, and I'm an idiot.
This was in the contact centre when you saw it.
So he's just like we were sort of play fighting and stuff, and the person supervising, a social worker, and you guess where this is going, gave what the sheriff described was the worst report he had ever seen.
What were they trying to say? You went into the contact centre and beat up your son in front of a social worker?
Well, I didn't know it was social work. Well, it was more rough and tumble. It wasn't like beating up. I wasn't leathering.
Exactly. In any normal circumstance at home, play fighting son, father, son, it's fine, isn't it?
Well, this was like everything was inappropriate. All of it was bad. The second, I got a massive telling off the first time round. It was like, you shouldn't do this. And I was wanting... Oh, you can bleep that one out. So my boy is he's wanting to play fight again the second time, and I said no, we can't do that because you can't do it here, and
yeah,
and that was then construed in the report as he said we can't do this because someone's watching, which is not what I said at all. It was words to that effect anyway, and.
Well, unfortunately, that was true, wasn't it? That you couldn't do it because someone was watching. Because not to say that it's wrong, but just to say that they'll say it's wrong. Well, what makes them right?
Well, that's the thing is like I either play with them and it's wrong, or I say, well, we can't do that here.
Yeah.
In fact, the words I said was no, we can't do that here. Was construed to no, we can't do this because someone's watching.
Damned if you do and damned if you don't.
And as I discovered. At the end of all of this, because the eldest boy aged out, was that his grandmother, again nepotism, had gone in there and told her what to write, or severely influenced this report. So it sets me back, and I'm then having to. This is why I'm doing these courses. It's like I'm really. I'm apologetic. Okay, I've screwed up. I've done things wrong. I'm desperate to be in my kids' lives. All this. No, got concerns. Yeah. Got concerns.
Was the mother having to do any courses?
No.
The fact she was trying to trick a dad into believing that a child was his, and not allowing that child to actually have a real dad in her life.
No.
Disgusting. So it is.
Well, I mean, he's still with her and still pretending.
So. Even now, that was my next thing. Now they're still together, and he's
still playing daddy. Because this final report, and what happens with my eldest, this final report from a court reporter backed up everything that I had said. Everything that I'd said for the previous 8 years. And basically...
Which was, if you were to summarise it, which was
that she's at it. She's just trying to hide. This reporter spoken to my daughter and said it is really unusual that the grandmother was in there while she was interviewing the little girl, and said the person that is to blame, that has egged this whole thing on, was the grandmother.
It's quite common, that. So it is. It's quite common.
Well, you get the stereotypical image of the mother-in-law, fire-breathing, But she was using her position as someone who worked in the care commission that knew social workers and knew the system and was making it harder. And she had supervised a lot of the contact, but she's older and she couldn't do it. And it ended up I had to be the bigger man and say, okay, the stepdad can step in, and I'm trying to be nice to the guy. We're getting on okay, talking about cars and all this kind of gubbins. And
so, in the last 9 years, or have you spoken to him at all?
To
the stepdad?
Never outside of contact. I was during the contact, I was trying to involve him too. So if we went to the park or we went so
this is with your son.
Yes.
Contact, yeah, but I mean around your daughter, around the fact that he's playing, daddy to your daughter.
Never. No, because we'd end up in a fist fight probably.
Yeah.
And I was not going to.
I mean, thinking as a man, like thinking I'm playing, happy families here. I've got this daughter who believes that I'm her dad. I mean, do we know if she believes that? Do we know if she knows the truth?
Well, that was again part of that final report. That final report just unravelled a lot.
Yeah. Because
what happened was.
Did it say in the report what your daughter believes? Does she know?
Yeah. Said she asked so can you tell me about your daddy? And he said, well, her big brother has two daddies, me and this guy, but I've only got one.
This guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, so she doesn't have a real dad.
And it said it was really, really critical. It said it's quite clear that none of them, but by this point, they've actually all moved into the granny's house, and she lives in a granny flat within the house. So they're all under her wing. It said it's quite clear that nobody has done anything to prepare this child to find out that, in fact, she's been lied to for her entire life.
So how is she getting away with this right now? That's the bit I don't get. Like, right now, how is she getting away with this?
Because I ran out of money.
Because you ran out of money?
Because they... and my solicitor said, by this point, my eldest boy is 15 years and 9 months. Mm-hmm. And we could not go any further because in 3 months' time, he was going to be 16, past the age of consent, which is not... Age of consent is more comprehensive than people realise it is, which is why you're allowed to smoke and gamble at 16. So there's absolutely no point. By the time another report is done and we're back in court...
You can do what you want now.
You can tell them to get sling or hook.
Yeah. So...
And with my daughter, said, well, she's now... I don't know how old she was then. 7. Said the court is never going to permit contact because you've never been part of her life and it will just upset her. So all of this is now being stored up for when she's a teenager, probably.
Which is going to cause completely unnecessary, avoidable trauma.
Totally. And it's happened because of, and I'll be absolutely brutal here, is lazy apathy by Glasgow Sheriff Court, and specifically Sheriff Mackey. I'm quite happy to call him out for it, because I will face him in front of the Sheriff Principal. Absolutely no bother.
But he's failed to protect a young girl.
He's failed to do anything.
Yeah.
He just sat there and went, well, I need another report then. So that's another £5,000.
What else do you need? I'm the dad. Let me see my daughter. That's it. Doesn't get any more complicated.
Aye, but she had concerns.
Concerns, of course, yeah. You've got concerns about her.
So
your concerns listen to.
She's... I mean, it's continuing too. I don't know how much I can give away here. I used to be I was in a TA. In fact, both of us were, including the stepdad. That's how they met. I actually was on a TA course.
Right, okay.
Because she forgot my birthday and felt sorry about it and ended up shagging this guy instead. Because that's how our brain works.
I know I'm cutting in here, but I'm going back to this guy being a pathetic excuse of a man. So he is bringing up another child. He knows he's not the dad. If I was in his situation, I'd be saying, let this dad see his daughter.
Well, yeah, I did say off camera or before the start, my behaviour hasn't always been the best, and some of it is partly, me. I've been upset. I've been grieving because I'm not allowed to see my living children.
Yeah. Well,
my 8-year-old boy is gone.
But you say your behaviour's not been the best.
Yes.
Whose is? No one's an angel. But is your child or children at risk if they're in your care? That's what it comes down to.
Absolutely not. But the risk of having a great time.
Yeah.
But what happened was I was really upset at a Christmas. I hadn't seen my son for quite a while. I don't remember how long it was, maybe a year or something. And I was heartbroken at Christmas. One of my former TA friends offered to send the DNA test to the husband's parents. I said, all right then. He's from Belfast.
Right. And did that happen?
Yeah.
And did you hear anything about it?
Yeah, got brought up in court, and I got a proper telling off from Sheriff Mackey.
Why? For speaking the truth?
Well, it was
because
more,
his parents could be victims as well. They could be led to believe that this child is their grandchild.
Well, I'm not entirely clear about what transpired afterwards. But yeah, they believe that this was their grandchild, and they still act as if. And one of the reasons I'm trying to think where to go with this. Yeah, it got brought up in court, and the judge, the sheriff said, "Did you do this?" And my solicitor said, "Regrettably, Your Honour, he did."
Did you?
Oh, sorry, my lord.
Did you tell people that they aren't actually biological grandparents when they believed they were? How is that you doing something wrong?
Well, it comes across as vindictive and all this stuff, but I just you're heartbroken and you feel like nothing else to lose. You know, bugger off, this isn't your grandchildren. Mm-hmm. It's exactly the opposite case to the guy, the paternity fraud. Sorry, I keep forgetting his name, Mike. Mm. So Mike's situation where the actual biological dad was like, no, I've actually got a family somewhere else, and my wife says no, so beat it. And he wanted to be part of that child's life. You know, I can see his point of view, but this is the opposite, where the real father's actually fighting to be in the life. Yeah. They've already got a child. And
it's just, I just don't get how they think they're going to get away with it. They've got away with it for 9 years. Yeah. Which is shambolic, but they're not going to get away with it forever.
They won't.
Not another 9 years. You know, your daughter's going to be an adult.
That's right.
And see all of this and say, why?
Well, to bring it back to the closing up the Scottish court proceedings, what happened was I had to drop everything. So for my daughter, clearly my solicitor says there's absolutely no way the court's going to order contact. So I had to drop it, and I was offered a school photo, which I've shown you, me with long hair and a dress, and a school report, which if you're watching this, which you might well be, you still haven't sent me this year's school report.
So that's all you get, and that was ordered by the court?
That was ordered by the court on the condition, it was a condition for me dropping the action for my daughter, because there's no point in continuing it, because the court was never going to order contact.
This blows my mind. Absolutely blows my mind.
And this is 7 years of lazy apathy from the court.
Yeah.
You know, just spending my money. We need another report. Okay, that's another £5,000.
It's another example of them failing to protect kids who are being put at risk. She has been put at risk. She has been harmed, but the harm this will do to her is lifelong.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that's come up on in the school reports was that she is a bit sensitive. Which her big brother was. I mean, from what I've read in it, she's just as much of a riot as her brother, but she doesn't be there. And I know that my ex struggled with his behaviour. It wasn't badly behaved; he was just a riot. And the same thing's happening again with my daughter. So when she gets to potentially teenage years, hormones kicking about, and finds out. I mean, the teenagers hate their parents as it is. Yeah. You know, and if she, needs her birth certificate for something, and she's going to get this and go, what on the earth is this?
But then what happens if your son is getting to an age where he's going to start asking questions, hopefully reach out, make contact with you again, and then you'll be like, well, that's my daughter as well, your sister?
Aye, she's your full sister.
Yeah. And he believes it's just his half sister.
Well, he does know, because this is the most. I mean, it's the most bizarre.
He knows
thing.
that his sister is your daughter.
In a roundabout way, because in one of the court reports, he said, what was it now? Because we had to go to family therapy. That was another thing. It cost a fortune. In one of those reports, he said to whoever it was he was reporting to that I sired her, but the husband is the dad. And
so he knows.
and they said that was such a bizarre way of phrasing it. But my ex is she'd got last count had 2 horses. She's always been into horses, and that's the term. You got the sire comes in and mates with the mare, and you got a foal. That's what they said to her. To him, was that I sired her, but he's the dad.
Wow.
So I don't know if he actually fully comprehends that any of this has actually happened.
Yeah, it's the fact that it's child abuse through and through, and it's just been allowed to happen.
It's child abuse. Child abuse is being stored. Yeah. It's like it's backing up behind the dam.
Yep.
If she'll get to a certain age, and that dam's going to break, and she's going to realise that every single adult in that house has lied to her for an entire life.
Yep.
And a girl who has some issues with emotional stability, she's going to go crazy. Yep. She's going to go absolutely mental.
It's almost like indirect. Don't know if that's a thing. Indirect child abuse.
Oh no, I think that is definitely a thing.
Yeah. That's what it's like. And I mean, your ex is an awful woman. She deserves to be locked up. So she does for what she's done.
I mentioned so
many things, like refusing to the test,
yep.
And then refusing to accept the result because it doesn't suit her narrative. Just awful person.
Well, I said that we had to go to family therapy, and what they do, the way that it's done is you got 2 therapists, and they work with both parties, and then when you get into the actual session, they work together to get us to meet in the middle.
Right.
And I have to say that the 2 therapists were absolutely phenomenal, the 2 of them, and they saw right through her.
But that's the thing with professionals. So if you get one, if they are a professional and you've nothing to hide, then they are going to be found out.
But
then did that make a difference? They saw right through her. You still don't have your daughter. Your daughter doesn't have her dad.
No. Well, she was also doing shenanigans, by the way. So she was one of the sessions she rocked up with her husband.
God.
So I said, because you come in the early stages and you go into separate rooms to begin with and all this stuff. And I said, by the way, she showed up with her husband. She what? I says, I think it's totally inappropriate. There's no way he should be part of any of this.
Yeah.
And so we got into the session, and my therapist was like, "You brought your husband." Yes, that is totally inappropriate. What on earth? This is supposed to be about you 2, and you're bringing something in. This is, this can be seen as an attempt to sabotage this.
This is for mediation for your son.
It's the next step up on mediation.
Right, okay.
Yeah, mediator. You got a single mediator, and they get the 2 of you to talk. But this is proper family therapy.
Right.
So we get to the end, or close to the end of this, and she just starts lying. And it's the certain mannerisms. I'm not gonna mention them because I might have to use them again in the future. But she had very obvious mannerisms that when she was telling a lie or a story, she would do. And I told my therapist, and she was like, "I saw exactly what you were talking about." So they write a report which is really damning. It mentions her attempts to sabotage it, the fact that this is horrendous, the fact that my son, who was also part of this as well, he was party, and then because obviously it is family therapy, even broken families, there needs to be some middle ground because you're working together for the kids. and outline everything that they were doing wrong. And at this point, then the granny insists that she's got to speak to them. So she goes into the therapy session. With the granny, this one that's interfered with social work and everything else.
Where does she come from? Why is she there?
Because she's just she tried to control the whole thing. So her daughter's a screw up, and it's her fault. But she's then had to fix it. You know, she's had to bail her out of credit cards, loans, rent, phone bills, utility.
So the granny says she wants to talk to your son.
To the therapist.
To the therapist.
To the
right, okay.
to the two.
What did the therapist say to entertain her?
They said she came in with the last report, this damning report, red penned, and told them how to do their job and how all of this is rubbish. They are incompetent. They should all be sacked. Blah, blah, blah. And then the report went in, and a further report went in from the therapist saying the granny's the problem.
Yeah. Well,
this is what it is. And they then refused to go to further family therapy on the grounds that the therapists were a danger to my son.
Wow.
So these are court appointed, in fact, not only court appointed, but at the request of her solicitor, court appointed therapists who did their job, and her mum didn't like it.
Wow.
And so they then were like, the report to the court said, we take this very seriously, and we are now considering court action against the granny. Which didn't come to anything, but I'm not aware of it coming to anything.
Yeah.
So by this point, then the whole thing's unraveling. That in fact there is no issue. It's all been overblown. The granny has been steering it. She's been in the background trying to sabotage it. And to give you another example, one of the things she did, especially during COVID, you have to have video chats. But if I'm working in London and he wants to have a chat on a Wednesday night or whatever, bring up Skype, have a chat, all this stuff. And I was recording them for my own safety. And it turned out what the granny was doing, because this ended up in this last report, was she was then sitting with my son and going through the recording and pointing out all the times that I had lied, all the stuff I'd made up, how I was trying to destroy. So he was
to a
then
teenage boy, to a vulnerable teenage boy.
Yeah,
at this point.
Yeah, so he must have been 14, 13, 14, something like that. She's in there deconstructing our half-hour, hour-long video conversation, saying, "Oh, did you see how he rolled his eyes, or did you see how he did that?" Because there was one especially, because this got brought up to one situation. He was telling me about his friends. One in particular has Asperger's, and he goes, and the two of us got on because I've got all of it. I said, all of what? Well, all of the autisms. And I was like, what? He goes, yeah, you know that. I was like, but you don't.
Who told him that? Who told him that?
His mum. She had been insisting since he was before it normally, as far as I know, I'm not totally well versed on this, but like from the age of 2 or something, she was like, "Oh, he's got Asperger's." I said, "He doesn't. He really doesn't." So he got checked in primary school, and they were like, "No, he's very intelligent. He's bored." He get tested. He was assessed again later in secondary school, and they're like, "No, he's just bored." But
so does he have autism now? Like, what, to your knowledge?
No, he's because and the reason I say it with some confidence that he isn't is because every other professional looked at him, and that includes there's a psychologist with a PhD. I don't know if I should be mentioning these. There's another one who advises the Scottish government, who assessed him and said there isn't even an indication that there's of the tick points that you need to, I think 3 of 9 or something like that to trigger the next stage of assessment. He didn't even meet one of them. And then again, these family therapists, I said, look, she keeps insisting he's got autism. And I don't think it is at all. He's really intelligent. And so they assessed him in one of the sessions where the two therapists, because he's bold as brass, he wasn't fussed about having.
So everyone that's assessed him has basically said no.
Yeah,
right,
pretty
okay.
much. So that's why I say with some confidence that he isn't.
Yeah.
But what she wanted, and as far as I know, he's never had any kind of support for it. I don't think they've even claimed whatever extra funding you're supposed to get for a child with autism.
Well, that's where I went. That's where my head was going. As someone that tries to push it.
Yeah, to my knowledge, that wasn't the case. And what I believe was that because the granny has always been obsessed with everything's abusive, was that she wanted, her dream was to be the mother of an abused autistic boy.
So you believe that?
Oh no, I know he's not. He's been abused by his granny.
Uh-huh.
But I don't think he's autistic. I mean, I know that I will.
But where did you said there about his granny that being her dream?
No, I think that's her mother's dream. His mother's dream.
You think, right? Okay, yeah. Got you.
I mean, that's if you've been party to all this, you'd be like, yeah, that actually would check out.
Right. So your son's 18 now. Have you reached out to him?
And he is. Oh yeah, I've reached out to him. I have an email. I don't have his phone number. He's on his granny's instruction, because again this all came out on his granny's instruction. All his direct messaging facilities, Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff. He's blocked me on it, and the granny actually told all of his friends that they were to block me, because they all thought, oh wow, this is dad, this is his dad, his real dad. Oh cool, how because he told them all how cool I was. Not that I am.
So the granny's telling them to block you.
The granny literally, when they came round to the house, told them that they all had to block me. They weren't allowed to speak to me.
Today's episode is sponsored by Nera Luxury Candles. Nera is a local business and their products are handmade, but they are more than just a candle or a wax melt. Each of them come from a place of love with a background and a story. A percentage of each sale goes to supporting addiction and mental health charities. Please visit them on socials, visit their website below. We are proud to be supporting them and have them sponsoring Voice for Dads. So, how did you get the email address?
Well, he gave it to me a few years ago. It was just a silly sort of teenage email address, right. And I've emailed him.
But you don't know if it still works, so.
No, I don't. There's not been any response. I've asked him about his exam results. I've wished him happy birthday. All that kind of stuff. I'm aware that the birthday cards just go in the bin.
Yeah.
So I've tried that. I don't know if he uses it. He might have a grown-up one. First name dot second name at Google or whatever. Right.
So we need to work on reaching out to him.
Yeah.
So all this going on with your ex, with a daughter who doesn't know that you're a dad and you're not in her life and everything else. But this isn't the only traumatic thing you've been going through.
No.
Tell us about Cumbria woman, we'll call her. So Cumbria ex, and you've got a son with her.
Yeah.
Tell us about that breakdown. What went wrong?
We ended up, me being the mug, got back together after everything happened with the older boy's mum in Scotland. We were. This all happened round about the time that I was stopped from seeing my oldest boy. We were in quite a good position, but as you're aware, like separated parents, or relationships sort of ebbs and flows, and this was a relatively good spot. So she said, you're clearly upset, that you can't see, kind of shit. You need to cut that out. So, you're clearly upset that you can't see the older boy. Why don't you come down? You can, spend a couple of days with the wee man. It'll make you feel better. And I was like, okay. And so we, had a great time. He went to bed, and we were sitting watching the telly after he's gone to bed. And we were talking about it, and she said, "You got back with her, didn't you?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she just paused, and then went, "Well, she can have some, so can I." And one thing led to another. And this happened more and more often when I came down to see him, all that kind of thing. And so we ended up getting back in a relationship, probably not ideal given our past, but it was kind of working actually. And for the most part, she seemed more balanced.
How long did this relationship last then, the second time?
It lasted for a bit over a year, I think. Just, year or 3 months, something like that. And she eventually said, "Look, this is really unhealthy, actually, because we're not that compatible, to be quite honest." And I was like, "All right, okay, fair enough. Well, as long as we can be in good terms, there's no reason that we can't go on." That she said that really what we're doing is we're stopping each other moving on and having a relationship with someone that's more suitable. And that was kind of fair enough. But it was probably the best we'd ever got on, ever in the wee man's life. So
then when you separate, what year is this? When did this happen?
So this would have been 2017.
2017.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
So it happened around about the time of my 40th birthday.
Right.
We went to Centre Parks and had a cottage and all that stuff, and it was great actually. When she'd arranged and paid for it all, and it was a fantastic 40th birthday. Getting to Centre Parks is not cheap, and we had a great time. All the woodland stuff and highlining the trees and barbecues, and it was a great trip.
So you're there, the two of you, with your son?
With the wee man, yeah.
Good. So then you agree mutually that this isn't working, and you part ways again. That fair to say?
Yeah, that was about the size of it. Yeah. It was just like, I thought it was like wasn't a great idea because we were just getting on better than we had done.
Yeah.
But it was a fair point. It's like, look, this isn't healthy. There isn't a future to this beyond what it is.
Ways.
Yeah. So
what happens after that then? How does contact continue with your son?
Well, it then starts deteriorating, and she starts to slip back to her old behaviours, where she starts being a bit difficult about arranging things, or she starts putting boundaries on where there didn't need to be, time constraints, and oh well, he's not that, or we've got this planned for this weekend, and it's like, come on, I'm supposed to see him. Oh well, he doesn't want to see you, or that we've got this planned, and don't think you're the priority, and it deteriorated to the point where, I had to go back to court, and we were in a magistrate's court in Cumbria, and she was told, like, you need to toe the line here. We didn't get an order, which was a mistake. Just an agreement in place, and she very quickly breaks that.
What was the agreement?
It was to see the wee man once a fortnight, and I would come down to see them in Cumbria, and they would, and occasionally, like I mentioned to you before, that if she was in Glasgow, seeing her mum, she's going shopping, going to a show, going and get her hair done, whatever, he would come and stay with me.
Yeah.
Their hair appointments at 9 a.m, so I'd get him in the evening. And he'd stay over with me. He had the boys had bunk beds in their room, so he had his bed space. He had his soft toys, had books and stuff like that, and everything. He really liked it, but it wasn't his home. But I was trying to make it as homely as I could for him. Mm-hmm. We would maybe watch some films or some TV shows. I've got a lot of animated stuff, and I've actually got a stack of 100 and something Blu-rays that I haven't watched because I was supposed to watch them with my older boy. We were big film buffs. So there was all those to pick from, and again, it was kind of started getting rocky again, and we're like, she starts saying things like, "Don't take me back to court. You're just going to take me back to court. This is a threat." And I'm like, "But you won't
Because
speak to me."
but she's been difficult, like
Yeah.
to allow contact, right? Okay.
But the way that she was approaching it was that he was hers, and me getting to see him was a favour. It was like, he's my boy, and you can play with him.
Yeah,
You know,
when she says,
What
age was your son at this point?
He must have been he'd be 6, perhaps. So 6 to 7, and trying to keep a relationship with him. It's quite hard when she's not being cooperative. And we're constantly going back, end up in the magistrates' courts. And eventually that it gets moved to the county court. And we appear in front of a proper judge. This is me learning how the English court system works. I didn't know before that. But she'd been told off by magistrates. Magistrates are, for the Scottish viewers, they're essentially lay persons who have some legal training, and you can have two or three or maybe more, and they're there to make a decision. So they're kind of a bit judge and jury, but you have a legal advisor. I believe they're either a solicitor or they're legal trained in some way about what they can and can't do. So the magistrates will ask questions, and then this legal advisor will then say what they can and can't do. And the magistrates were pretty straight up, especially the female magistrates. They would just be like, "Well, why can you not see his son?" "Oh, well, because he's a bastard." So
that's not an excuse.
It's not an excuse.
Yeah,
And it's just like, well, he's done this.
So she was actively trying to stop you seeing your son.
Yeah.
You go to court. The court sides with you.
Yeah. So
in a sense,
we end up. It gets to the point where it's then promoted to the county court, and it goes through several hearings, and eventually what happens is in front of Judge Dodd, we have a final hearing, and basically she was shown for what she was, and I got everything I wanted, and this isn't, as they might say, well, I'm trying to get custody or anything. It was like, all I wanted was that I can speak to him once a week, video or whatever, and I get to see him once a fortnight, so that his free time is split equally between the parents, which is the philosophy in Scotland is, 1 weekend on, 1 weekend off, so it's half of the free time. So she wasn't happy with this, and I don't think what I was asking for was unfair, especially because it's me that's doing all the driving. If he was to come to Glasgow, I'd meet them in Gretna, so I was meeting him halfway and then driving back. So it wasn't like she had to drive up to Glasgow to drop him off and then come back. I was happy to meet him, or in Carlisle station, train down, pick him up, back on the next train, easy peasy. And at this point, she's also every statement she's been putting in, she's escalating her accusations, and it gets to the point of being ridiculous. There'd been a CAFCAS officer appointed, who frankly saw right through her, had a good measure of exactly what she was doing, and that included that she was sharing totally inappropriate things with him, and also, for instance, it was to the point where his school, he had removed him from class twice for crying. they were they have sort of resilience classes, and it was like, what makes you upset, or what do you think that you've done that you needed your inner strength for, and he starts sobbing in the class, and it was that he needed to be strong because of all the things that my dad was doing to him, because of all the things my mum says that my dad's doing.
Right, so she's telling this boy that you're this bad man doing all these things,
and it got so bad that the school wrote to the court an unsolicited report saying that this is what's happening in the school, and all this is then presented to the Kafkas officer, who's like, this is absurd. There's no there's no need for this. It's pure alienating behaviours, which she was trying to sell as a pseudoscience. I know that online parental alienation, her later lawyer, Charlotte Proudman, is very big on parental alienation being pseudoscience, which it isn't. It's parental alienation syndrome supposedly is a pseudoscience, but the practice isn't. That the activity of parental alienation.
What is pseudoscience? What is that?
It's made up.
I think I told you that. So she thinks that the parental alienation is just made up.
Yes, and it's made up. That it's made up with the purpose of what's the right term I'm looking for? With a view to devaluing the mother's experience, and I know it's not limited to the mothers, but it's mostly
it's predominantly
that way around.
So this lawyer is very public in this belief, yeah.
She is
she a lawyer?
Yeah,
a magistrate. What is she?
Well, where are we? Sorry, it's her lawyer that joined the fight after this particular hearing. She was in there with a Mackenzie friend.
Right. Okay.
So the Kafkas officer had identified that all this was going on, and it all got put in the court reports, and it came out in a very bad light. And the recommendation from the Kafkas officer was that if she continued to do this, that the court should be taking the wee man away from his mother, and be placed with me in Scotland.
Wow.
So of course I wasn't aware of what else was happening in the background after this trial at the time, but she then breaks the court order straight away. I mean, she'd never ever stuck to a single court order. Mm-hmm. So I'm then have to instigate
no punishment, I'm guessing. No
punishment at all.
Nothing at all. Just gets away with it.
No, not by this point anyway. So I have to then instigate contempt of court hearings. What she did then, we were due to go back to court for this contempt hearing, and she lodges an appeal with the High Court Families Division, and she employs this Dr. Charlotte Proudman, which anyone who follows on about family law in Scotland in the UK will know who Charlotte Proudman is. She has a PhD in genital mutilation. She is what I would describe as a shameless grifter. She acts like she's a voice for the rights of women, but abused women. But what she really is she takes money from well-off women to help them to destroy the children's lives. Right. And there's if you follow her, there really isn't anything else to it, where everything else is abuse. Anything a man does is abuse. Men are terrible, etc., etc. And I mean, she's been doing this for a long time. The Law Society have tried to disbar her, and unfortunately they bottled it and didn't. She's surrounded by all these rich white women outside the Law Society to say that she's won, and the misogyny couldn't crush her and all this stuff.
I need to give her a look then. I have heard of her. We hear of lots of names, but I can't say I've.
Oh, she's on the telly at least once a month.
Right.
I usually get a text message from one of my friends. Oh, she's on the breakfast telly again. And she's every
you said
bit
about
as,
genital mutilation.
Yeah.
Is she one of these things, people that thinks it's acceptable to give puberty blockers to kids and stuff? Is that what she thinks? Change the gender? Is that what you mean?
No, she's. It's the practice in some Arab and African countries where they
literally,
quite literally,
right,
where the women in the village will take a girl who's suddenly reached puberty and they will basically cut off all the exposed parts of their vagina.
Wow.
Which is a horrific thing. How
does she come into this? She advocates for it, or
no.
I'm getting confused with what you said.
Well, I'm actually. It's a good question because I've absolutely no idea how it's relevant at all to the family law that she practices. I think I should probably go and stick her PhD through ChatGPT and actually see if it's factually correct, because I don't. I suspect that she misses out important stuff. But anyway, it's completely irrelevant to family law. It's about the cultural background to it and why it happens. And I wasn't going to bore myself with reading 250 pages worth of her drivel.
Sounds like it.
So they win this appeal in the family court, and it's dragged back to Carlisle court, and it's to start again. So as part of this, then my ex, she went on a rampage, and she attacked verbally and in letters and everything. She attacked the CAFCAS officer so badly that to the point where she had to resign as my son's guardian, because she'd been appointed the guardian. She went after her that hard, making stuff up. It was all false accusations, and they had to appoint another guardian who didn't speak to me, spoke to her a couple of times, and sat in the court and listened during the next few proceedings.
So she doesn't like you because of what you're saying, what you're after. She doesn't like the CAFCAS officer because he sides with you, or she sides with you. Yep. So she goes after her.
Well, it was more. It wasn't quite that she sided with me. It's that she had a measure over.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't have to say anything derogatory for her to realise that, in fact, that this woman's crackers.
Yeah. So what happens next then? What's the next step?
Well, we're back in the court, and by this point, I have completely and utterly run out of money. This whole thing, and she ended up having costs awarded against me, which is how I ended up bankrupt. And we'll come to that too. This whole thing between Scotland and England has cost me approaching 200 grand.
Wow.
And 10 years. I mean, I'm reasonably well paid, but I've got nothing now, and I'm lucky that I've still got my home. You're making London money, and at one point I was sending my solicitor in Glasgow £1,000 a week, just to give you an idea of how much money was coming out of my account, it got to the point of being silly, and I had nothing left. I'd burned through my any savings I had. I'd spent everything. I'd ended up it took about half of my inheritance because my dad died, and then everything else after that I'm trying to do it, and I end up as a litigant in Parson. So where I'd been able to pay for barristers and things in the English court, I couldn't even afford that. So I'm stood there myself against a PhD qualified barrister trying to give a good account of myself. And of course, someone like Proudman knows all the tricks, and I didn't appreciate it at first, but she emphasised throughout the whole thing about the threshold of evidence, what it should be in family court. And I hadn't appreciated that the difference is, rather than in a criminal court where it's guilty beyond all reasonable doubt, in the family court it's on the balance of probabilities. So you only have to be 50.1%.
You're guilty
to be found to have done whatever they said.
When you said she was awarded costs.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, because she won in the end, the judgment. Because what happened was, after the ruling under Judge Dodd, 3 days later, she contacted the police and told them that I'd raped her. So, I was shocked when it happened, but I was not surprised.
Mm-hmm.
Because she, and again, as I says, I wasn't asking for a lot. I was just simply like, I want to see him every second weekend so I can go swimming, play rugby, take him to his rugby classes, do all that stuff, and be present in his life. But she just had to hit the nuclear option, because what was going to happen was, if we'd gone back to the appeal, she was going to get fined, and there was in all likelihood that the wee man, not at my request, at the recommendation from CAFCAS, the wee man was going to end up with me.
Your care.
And so she hit the nuclear button. And suddenly...
Did you get a chap at the door? Did you get a chap at the door?
No, I got a phone call from Carlisle Police Station. It said, Detective, her name, this has happened. Can you come in for an interview? So I ended up having 2 interviews, and it's a bit intimidating because, because the videos were played in court. She gets the sort of, it looks like the set of a children's TV program, bean bags and comfortable everything, and I'm in essentially a cell with a table and chairs that are screwed to the floor, with a recording device, and it's a bit intimidating. I'm not, I'm
Absolutely,
now pretty resilient, but it's like, it's quite a stressful thing to experience.
So were you charged with rape then?
No, this is what my lawyer said afterwards, because it's a very serious thing. Anything that happens in the police station is paid for, it's covered. So you get a criminal lawyer that comes in separate from my family one. And he said that the fact that they didn't arrest you and they didn't charge you means that there's no time limit on how long they've got to do this, so to process it. So if they had, they'd have 6 months, I think it is. I don't remember quite right off the top of my head, but they would have 6 months in order to make a decision. They put their case to Crown Prosecution Service, and they deal with it, the or nay, whether it goes to court. And this has been, I think, 4 years now. So I've had this hanging over me for 4 years, and the police haven't done anything else. The last I heard from them, they were looking for permission from the family court to release everything to their custody, so that they can then see if they can form something.
It coincides, doesn't it? Like, it's so obvious. This is the thing. Some of the mums and dads and folk I've spoken to recently say mums because they've got partners who've been accused of rape by their exes, and it just all coincides with family court and just wanting to get their way.
It does. It's a nuclear option, and I don't understand why the courts aren't why they're not wise to it. I mean, it's so obvious.
Yeah, it is.
Because
when did this alleged rape meant to have happened then?
Just before we went to Centre Parks for my 40th.
What was it?
So she when we went back for this fact finding, which was 5 days in in Carlisle court, I'm having to miss a week of work. I don't get paid when I'm not at work. Having to pay the hotel and everything, the stress of having to do all this myself. You have to spend a day in the dock, and it's all extremely stressful. And she brings all this up that I'm supposed to have done this, and every single statement she put in, every single one of them was an escalation on the last one. Where sometimes I raise my voice to her has become verbal abuse, has turned into threats of violence. Then
now, as you say, the nuclear one is rape.
Yeah.
So what happens in the fact finding? How does that come into the process of the family court?
Well, in order for them to make a decision, they have to have a fact find. So the judge has to go and examine all the evidence and make a decision on what actually happened. And she wheeled in her friends, a couple of her friends, to do it. One of whom had chaperoned myself and the wee man, and he's giving evidence. And the one thing that really struck me, they asked him why did he chaperone. The guy was ex-forces, really really sound guy.
Was he a friend of hers? Was he a friend of hers?
Yeah.
Right.
And to be quite blunt, actually, I'm glad that someone like that is in my son's life, because he's absolutely, 100% integrity, the whole thing. And his purpose was, he said that he was away and he'd missed his daughter's birthday. His daughter's birth and numerous birthdays because he was away. And he wanted the wee man to have a relationship, like him balancing the universe, that he missed that time with his own child,
to help you.
And he wanted to help another child have that relationship, and the result of that, of the fact find, was eventually the ruling was that I couldn't see him anymore. And it always struck me.
How did that come out though? Why was that the final result of that fact finding?
Well, all of the evidence was heard, like I said, over 5 days.
Bear in mind, this is an English court, isn't it? So this is different to Scottish courts. Yeah.
So you're in front of a circuit judge, and you have myself there, and you get her hiding behind a screen, and then you've got the CAFCAS officer with the barrister acting on behalf of my son. So he was made a party to it, it's called. So he wasn't there, but he had a guardian who acted on his behalf with a barrister. And in my case as well, there was members of the press who sat through the whole thing. So had these two friends that were interviewed or gave their testimony. She gave her testimony and I gave mine. And then there was other evidence presented as well, where she handed over all of her mobile phones to the police as part of this rape thing, including one that she'd run over with her car. So this phone, the only way to get anything out of it was to send it to a digital forensics lab, which the court did. So they got chain of custody from the police. They took it, and then it chain of custody to a digital forensic overnight, and then it was back in the court the next day. And
what were they looking for? Looking for text messages between the two of you, or what?
Yeah, to prove that I was abusing her.
Right. Okay.
At this point, she's still denying that we'd ever got back in a relationship, that we're ever sleeping together, that anything, that the fact that this one particular time, this one particular occasion was rape.
So you said you were back with her for about a year and a couple of months, and she's refusing that.
Well, it wasn't just they were back together; it was instigated by her.
Yeah, and she's now saying that you weren't back together at all.
That's right.
Right. Okay.
But the text messages, there was 60,000 of them from a 9-month period that they managed to recover. We were talking about all the things we were doing in bed, what kinks she liked. what I'd done the night, that weekend that she liked to do, that she wanted to do, and it was absolutely blatantly obvious.
So it's painting a picture that
we were in a sexual relationship.
Yep.
As unideal as it was, as ill-advised as it was, we absolutely were. And, so suddenly, it's absolutely blatant, she's lying. And then she's lying about other stuff, so language, she said I was verbally abusive to her, and warning for the viewers that there's some 1990s language coming, that I would call her a mongo, or a retard, spastic, all that kind of stuff. And
in
I said,
context, like kind of general slagging,
just bantering.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I dropped a tin of soup. Spastic,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It was that kind of bantery stuff. And she said I said, in fact, she said it to me too. It was part of the banter that we had, inappropriate stuff that you have behind closed doors. I'm sure it happens everywhere else, that you say things to each other in the house that you would never say in front of your mates.
And surely they've got that in the messages, or that she was saying that to you.
Yes, they did. In fact, the barrister that was acting on behalf of my son did a word search through all of them, and the word retard came up 180 something times, and a third of those were from her.
So again, she's got out of line.
So she says, "There's no way. I used to work in NHS. I don't do that. I'm the safeguarding governor at my school, or my son's school. I'm this, I'm that. Absolutely no way would I ever use language like that." And it's quite blatant that she'd lied about it. And it's quite blatant.
She's dug herself this hole, hasn't she?
Sorry?
She's dug herself this hole.
Well, she did. And so, her evidence was actually contradicting the things that she was accusing me of. I mean, to the extent of I told you what she called him when he fell asleep in his seat, which was hilarious because it was a TV series at the time, like a reality TV show.
Mm-hmm. And again, that came out in court. Yeah. So you're in court, and she's kind of, I would say, digging herself a hole and contradicting herself. What happens with the rape charge, incident?
Unfortunately, the video testimony was played. So her video testimony and mine, which was hard to watch, because it was such a stressful experience for me having to then, and I'm quite a light-hearted person, and I crack jokes, and I unfortunately the interview started with a nervous laugh, and they pounced on it, and they said he thinks this whole thing's a joke. He thinks rape's a joke. His sexual abuse is a joke. That everything's a joke. He doesn't take this seriously. He just sees an abuser. And I'm like, well, exactly what I just said. It was a nervous laugh.
Mm-hmm.
I regretted it instantly, but I was so nervous sitting in a police cell. You get two police sitting across from you, stone faced because I'm in there to talk about stuff. And the rest of it I gave an account, and she then, or Proudman then, summing up at the end of the day, says the judge, he clearly doesn't take this seriously. He thinks the whole thing's a joke. That my client found this really upsetting, that he thinks that it's dead funny that she's been raped, and that he's trying to downplay it as something something innocuous, and do you know what I mean? Everything, the only thing they hadn't accused me of was invading Poland in 1939. Do you know what I mean? That was pretty much, that's where it went with it.
So what happens next? That's the bit that's hard for me to get my head around, because for me, rape would be a criminal matter. So
yes.
they're introducing this into a civil court.
Well, they have done, and that's a big distinction. So I've been in and I've spoken to the police. I've given that. We're now 4 years down the line. So far nothing's happened. I mean, if it does, there's another 4 years to go.
Mm-hmm.
Because they do take that long.
So how did they get on using that against you in the family court, though?
It was literally all they did was played the two interviews,
Right.
2 interview videos. So one of the interviews with me was just a low key one. It was not an evidential one. The second one was.
And in what way did that influence the outcome then?
Well, I'm not actually sure that it did, because
it sounds to me like you've got a woman who's said she's been raped here.
Yeah.
She's been interviewed. You've been interviewed, and nothing has happened.
That's right. In 4 years now.
So,
but
at what point do we think, right, they aren't believing her? Do we say that?
They don't, because what happens is the judge, despite all of her own evidence counting against her, said that her testimony was compelling and therefore it happened.
Wow.
And I don't think it was I don't think it was the police interview or anything, because she's just telling her story, and that was repeated anyway in her statements and things. But it was the fact that when she was talking about what happened when she was in the stand, that it was compelling. So the verbal abuse, she lied about. The fact that we were in a relationship, she lied about. The supposed abuse of my son was so low key. It was a play fighting thing. She pretty much proved against herself. But
this is a bit I find really interesting. So you've got all these different parts that you can prove she was lying. So when do we get to the rape part and say, oh, why are we going to believe her on this then? Why did the sheriff say, the sheriff actually said that they believed that it happened?
Yeah.
On the balance of probability.
Balance of probabilities, because her testimony was compelling, and he didn't think she was lying, that on the balance of probabilities that express consent was not given on this one occasion when we were in a relationship. And that's the wordings in the ruling, was express consent was not given.
Even though you got her saying you weren't even in a relationship.
Yeah. But this is again the threshold, and perhaps needs to be emphasised that 4 years after the fact, when she's lost in family court, eventually persuades a judge that on one occasion express consent was not given. She didn't say no. She didn't try to push me off. And this, I'd also pointed out in the court that when she didn't want to do it, she just told me, get off. No, get off. I mean, she's not a wilting flower. I mean, that, in fact, that term was used against me as well. Thinks that she's not a wilting flower, and she was trying to give off that aura. That obviously that I had supposedly raped her, not knowing it. So, she just removed consent 4 years later, because she needed to. That
was something I was actually going to ask you. What was the time frame? Is that what it was? 4 years?
It's 4 years. So it was supposed to be 2017, and it was 21 or 22. No, 21 that she said that
conveniently just remembered that you didn't give consent that time.
But that threshold, I think, is so incredibly dangerous, because young men are already under the cosh. We've had 20 years of people like Proudman saying how evil men are, that it's now so mainstream that it is okay to pull consent or remove consent 4 years after the fact. That how is a young man trying to negotiate? And I'm thinking of both of my boys here. Mm-hmm. How's a young man supposed to negotiate the world of dating and relationships if they think what's consensual isn't, because they felt pressured, or that they thought it was, it was obligatory, or that that they had a glass of wine earlier in the evening, and that then compromised their judgment. And it's such a can of worms, and
I feel for young men these days.
I don't know how I don't know how half of them can do it. I mean, there's all the I try not to go down the whole red pill thing. I do try to stay balanced about it, but there's so many young men now are avoiding even getting a relationship with women because there's so many young women are influenced by the poison on social media.
Yeah. We've done podcasts with 2 people that are involved in gyms, Justice for Innocent Men Scotland. Yeah. The stories are horrific. One we've not put out yet, and I don't think we're going to put out, but it's awful when you hear. And I think, at what stage do you whip out a disclaimer? And ask to sign here. Yeah. Or do a video message.
It is because consent. if you were getting it on, was getting a bit of foreplay going and all that stuff, and girl, I mean, consent goes both ways. It's not, people aren't really bothered about it for men, because we don't matter. If you were, pulling clothes off and all that, and she said to you, "I consent to this," you'd be like, "What? Are you?" Are you filming this?
Yeah.
It's like, well, you're like, well, just I'm gonna text you when I get home.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's like, how on earth do you, when you're in a and obviously I'm in my 40s, but how does a young man then know that it's not consensual if they've been in a relationship for a year? And I hate, I really don't like going down this route of discussion, but I mean that's the point of being here. Is surely if you're in a relationship, that there is an implied consent, and like I said, when we'd been together, she was like, "No, get off." Mm-hmm. I did. Yeah. I never tried to force it or anything like that, but
it's growing. This situation's growing, especially in the family courts, whereby they're stopping access to dads, and then all of a sudden, "Oh, you raped me," and it's awful.
That's it, and suddenly this whole machine swings into action. So she had because she'd made this accusation, or I mean, it was building up that I was verbally abusive, I was physically abusive, I was blah blah blah, and that hearing under Judge Dodd, he was like, "Don't think so," because it was so blatantly a lie.
Yeah,
that she had gone to rape and abuse charities in Cumbria, and they had provided her with resources, including another mobile phone, and all this kind of stuff. And to me, it seems like a tremendous waste of resources that should go to women who deserve it. And I'm not denying. In fact, I want to emphasise that there are women who are abused and raped, and there are men who are pretty horrible human beings, and we've probably encountered them. Mm-hmm. But when you lower the bar so far, you're
taken away from real victims.
Yeah, it's disrespecting those who've been someone, a young girl is walking home from work and gets dragged into the bushes and subjected to brutality. Yep. Her experience is actually being devalued.
Yeah,
it's being disrespected by.
Agree. And they're the men, the men that do that. They're the ones that deserve the death penalty, in my opinion. But you've got this growing trend, if you like, of mothers who are coming forward saying that when they're in a marriage or a relationship for years, or there was this one time where I didn't really consent, and it just happens to coincide with a custody battle where they're trying to block access to the kids. So for me, it takes away from real victims, and some of the women that I have heard through doing Voice for Dads and their actions, I don't know how they sleep at night. Just don't know.
Well, in my case, unfortunately, it became public knowledge. In fact, it's in the public domain in Scotland. My name and hers, and the things that I was found to have done.
And why did that happen?
Because my trial was part of the family court transparency pilot.
It was one of the first in the UK.
It was, but the appeal court forgot to anonymise it, and so the original appeal that she won after the first hearing under Judge Dodd, it's on Bailey and everything, and it's not anonymised. Mm-hmm. They released it and failed to anonymise it, and that's now tied to everything that came after it. Mm. So she's released all this into the public domain in Scotland. I questioned it when we were in the further transparency hearings, and they said, well, she's allowed to share any information she likes with legal professionals in Scotland, which is not what she did. She made it public record in Scotland. So I'm not going to tell people what agents the databases to find it, but it's out there and it's in clear.
So this happened how many years ago now?
The last hearing, the last of the transparency hearings was probably about a year ago now.
Right. And what's next?
Nothing.
Nothing.
That's it. I've run out of money. And as part of the fact find, costs were awarded against me. So, and again, about Proudman, grifter. She had charged my ex £95,000 between the appeal and the fact find
for our services.
Yeah. So when the judge found for that she was a victim of rape and abuse, and my son was abused and all this stuff.
With no evidence, I'll just bring up
no actual evidence
of anything. If anything, the evidence just went against her and contradicted what she was saying. Yeah,
well, I mean, the verbal abuse, for instance, she, sorry to drag it back, I'm a bit of a shambles, I know. but I told you about the retard thing. Uh-huh. On one occasion, when we were in the middle of a fight, I said, "Oh, you're so retarded," and that then over the threshold, I'm verbally abusive to her. And that when we were play fighting, the wee man and I would threaten to pull the hairs on his legs, mm-hmm. and then chase him around the house, or that if I'm doing
to do if you want to do.
Well, yeah, and also he would if I'm doing something, he'd run up and he'd pull the hairs on my arms and like, "Oi, what do you think you're doing?" And then mm-hmm. shenanigans begin. But so I go back to the evidence thing. So the costs
and the evidence, of which there was none. If anything, the balance of probability was going against you from the start because you're a man,
and also because I agreed to the fact find. The advice from
agreed to do the fact find.
Yeah, mm-hmm. because I have to consent to it. So there's that consent word again. Fathers for Justice, Papa, and you name it. The advice from every single one of them is do not agree to a fact find because it will just find against you. And it's advice I would repeat. Yeah. If your ex is wanting to go to a fact find, say no because it's a waste of your time.
Well, that's interesting. That's good to share.
It is a complete and utter waste of time.
I don't think we have them in Scotland, though, do we?
No, they're evidential hearings here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I think that the threshold is similar, but I haven't actually been through one. It was going to be the next stage with the case in Glasgow. Yeah. But my son aged out. That he was going to be past the age of consent, so there was just no point in it. So the costs thing, costs were awarded for her. However, the only 35,000 of that was awarded against me. Another 60,000. Proudman said that the Department of Work and Pensions, CAFCAS come under the Department of Work and Pensions, I think, so that she'd applied for £60,000 worth of costs from CAFCAS for failing to protect a victim of rape. And the judge said, "We haven't filled the paperwork out." properly. So no.
Wow.
So the Charlotte Proudman, the hero of all feminism and all this sort of stuff, can he fill a form out right? And to be quite blunt, having spent all this time in court and had my own barristers and everything, she's not particularly good in court. She is well read, obviously, because you would be with a PhD, and her social media is, well, she's all over it. None of it's particularly accurate. It's just sort of dog whistle stuff.
Yeah. To give her a look.
But so what happened then was I'm not allowed to contact her because she's a victim of rape and all that stuff. So I start making token payments, like, look, I need to pay this money. We had subsequent hearings. She said, I'm not paying. And I said, I'm trying to pay something, but I can't speak to her because I'm not allowed to. And then past a threshold, and as anyone who's watching has ever had any problems with money, pay a phone bill and you get the debt collectors or whatever, and you can. There's multiple mechanisms for getting money out of someone. But what she did was she went straight to bankruptcy. So I didn't know this was a thing.
To be bankrupt.
Yep, I didn't know this was a thing. But in Scotland, if someone owes you more than £5,000, you can petition the court to bankrupt them. And obviously, £35,000 is a bit more than that. So she just said, ignore everything else, straight to bankruptcy. And they said, well, you do owe the money, so tough, there you go, awarded.
But then the bankruptcy thing is also, by doing that, you're just accepting you're not going to get the money.
And that she would get...
Yeah.
Well,
so she's not going to get the money by bankrupting you?
Well, she wasn't going to get it straight away, and she didn't seem to understand the process that she'd implemented, because we did still have some hearings which were part of the transparency pilot. And she said he's financial abuse. That was the one that I'd missed. One of the many I've missed so far.
Was that the other thing you
So
accused of?
I'm financially abusing her by not paying her $35,000. And I'm like, but I don't have any money. That's why I was a litigant in person. If I had £35,000, I'd have had a barrister with me in court. The process, I was unaware of this. So and perhaps this is education for those watching as well. That the what happens is the sequestration, they call it, because Scottish love their Latin names. Sequestration was awarded, and a trustee was appointed. So you've got someone who's going to oversee the whole process of your bankruptcy. And I'm panicking here. I'm already struggling because I'm not allowed to see the wee man anymore, and I've got this, and I'm like, I'm going to be out of the house on Friday. This is horrendous. So I'm stressed out my nut. I'm in debt that I was due to have paid off this summer. Everything, the loans and everything to cover previous legal bills. So I'm panicking, and I got in touch with a financial advisor who said, relax, it's not what it used to be. Because back in the day, 100 years ago, I'd have been in a debtor's prison, to make my money back or whatever. And he talked me through the process, and it relaxed me a little bit. At least, it was reassuring to speak to me. He's a great guy. And he explained the process where you have to go in and you have an interview with the trustees company. There's an accountant that signs the paperwork pretty much. Accountants don't do anything, it's their staff that do. And you go in, you have an interview, and you go over your situation and all this kind of stuff. And then what happens after that is they will bring together all your assets. They'll do an inventory of assets, is what it's called. So they'll say, right, okay, so you have a house worth whatever, you've got a car worth whatever, you've got some jewellery over a threshold that you've got this, okay, so it's all put together. And then what they do is they will then, as part of that, there'll be the creditors, so that obviously there's £35,000, and then there was one credit card, a loan that was half paid off, and a PayPal credit thing, which you're not allowed to touch any of those. The second that sequestration is granted, you can't do that. You can't go, I've got £4,000 owed on that credit card. I've got 5,000 in the bank, send them $4,000, because then they're a preferential, and they actually have the legal powers to reverse that and take that money back off the credit card or the loan or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And that includes anything you might owe to private individuals too. And then what they do is they scoop it together, and they come up with what's called DCO payments, which I can't remember what it stands for, but it's 48 of them. So your bankruptcy is 48 payments to repay what you owe. And monthly payments, and they'll have worked out that you have so
but
many.
This isn't clearing it as well. This isn't you 48 payments and everything's paid in full.
Oh no, it will be.
Will it?
Yeah.
So what's the payment work out to be then?
For me, it's just short of £1,200 a month.
Wow.
Which is a lot of money, but I was absolutely smashing my loan, my credit cards and everything, and I was paying more than that.
Right. Okay.
A month, because at the time I was working from home, and I had the money, and I was like, I just need to smash this, get out of the way, and then I'll be clear. And then she bankrupts me.
Yeah.
So all this is scooped together in a winner. And bear in mind that the limit is £5,000, which if someone's like on benefits or whatever, £5,000 is a lot of money to get into debt for. But there's a potential then, £5,000 is what, £105 a month for the next 48 months. Mm. So someone's DCO payments could be £100, and that clears the, say it's £6,000, or
Yeah.
But this is the thing that they don't mention, is that at the end of that they've got this pot, and the trustees will take their share, all their costs and everything come out of it, which, as any business would, it's as much as they can get away with.
Mm-hmm.
So she's in the court and she's saying, this is financial abuse. He's not paid me £35,000. And I'm trying to explain to the High Court judge that she's instigated bankruptcy here. This is her doing. Mm-hmm. I can't pay. I am, by law, I cannot pay her any money, because the trustees have got to look after it. I'm paying the trustees that she asked for. And I said she will
what
get.
What did the judge say to that?
Said, well, I don't even remember what her response was. It was just like, well, okay, this is continued financial abuse, which just really shocked me. Yeah, so I was like, but this is her doing, same as all the other things that she's accused me of. So what will happen is in 4 years' time, I'm due to be discharged. Sorry, the first year after sequestration, you are a bankrupt. You are legally bankrupt, and at the end of it, you can be discharged from that bankruptcy, but so long as you keep paying those DCO payments.
Right.
And at that point, when you're discharged, you can then start to go and get a loan or a credit card or whatever. Your credit rating will be dog shit. And you'll really struggle when you'll be paying huge interest because you're a risk. But you can still then do it. So, in 4 years afterwards, she will. This pot will be there. The trustees will take their slice, which my financial advisor said that could be $20,000. Right. So there's this. My total debts came to 48,000, including the 35. So it's £48,000, and if they take a big chunk of that, 20,000,
35.
So she's going to get $20,000 tops in 4 years' time, and ruined her son's life.
Well, that's the most important thing, isn't it? Money is kind of irrelevant when it comes to the damage she's doing to your son.
Yes, and it's this contradiction that's been throughout it, where she said I was verbally abusive, but at the same time I was giving her silent treatment. Mm-hmm. So she couldn't compare the two. And now she says I'm financially abusing her because she bankrupted me. Because she bankrupted, not that my financial abuse led to the bankruptcy, but that I'm financially abusing her because she bankrupted me, because she instigated a process that means that she's not going to get her money.
Well, you've been through a hell of a time, have you not?
I have. Well, it's taken its toll on my health. There's 10 years worth of stress and drinking too much.
Here's a question. Are you in a relationship now?
I am.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And how's that looking?
It's all right. It's been going on for 5 years. yeah, it's boring, which is a relief. I'm quite happy to take boring. She's not going to like me saying that, but it's like
on you for actually like having faith to be with someone again. Though.
Well, there is a lot of that. It fundamentally shakes who you are. I like to think that I have always behaved in a manner of integrity, and it's heartbreaking to watch.
Yep.
My kids, the damage that's been done to my kids, the apathy, laziness, the bias in the courts, and then to have my name in the national press. Sorry, not my name, my case. For someone like Charlotte Proudman to declare that my hearings were groundbreaking, that they are a legal milestone, which is it causes despair for me, because it means that another dad somewhere is going to suffer because their ex's barrister is going to cite my case in their court and say
use that,
so the ruling will be that on this one occasion explicit consent was not given, and that could apply to someone else.
And say groundbreaking, but the fact that you can be accused of all of that with no evidence, if anything, the evidence contradicts her, and still have the outcome that you had. Absolutely disgusting. And it shows why we need to keep doing what we're doing.
It does, and it won't stop, because there's a future as well. I told you about my eldest. He's 18. I don't know what he's doing with his future life.
Yep.
And I know what he had ideas to do, and thankfully, actually, the school intervened and helped him on that path, despite what his mum and his granny told him. But my daughter as well, she I mentioned about she has some, supposedly she has issues with her emotions and things like that, and there's the concerns about what will happen when she's older. But also, my ex's husband, culturally is from a very different place.
Mm-hmm. Not a place that you want your daughter to be in.
No, and I don't know if we can discuss that, but it's
just not. It's not her. It's not her culture.
It isn't, they're from.
She's not his dad. He's not her dad. He just shouldn't be there as a dad. It's so wrong. It's so wrong.
Well, I said that said before that they're from Northern Ireland, and basically that whole family, and this is not disparaging against either side in Northern Ireland or Irish Troubles or anything like that. It's simply not my culture. But my daughter was at the last 12th of July in Belfast, and she's being indoctrinated into the blooming Orange Order, because the husband's dad was a politician, and is right into all that stuff. But my own cultural background is my mum was Norwegian, and the whole family in Norway were communists, like actual communists, not plastic communists.
Yeah. So that is your daughter's culture then, isn't it? That's your culture, not these folk in Belfast, not this random guy who's playing baby daddy.
Yeah, and my dad cursed the church forever after, because he was from Peterhead, and my grandfather had to sell his pub in Peterhead because of the temperance movement, all driven by the church. So he cursed them because they lost their business and home. He had to move to Bannockburn or Stirling, and as he was 6 or something when he had to move down, and so totally agnostic on that side, and communist on the other, and I.
Has your daughter been thrust into a world that's nothing to do with her?
Anyone from Scotland, Central Scotland, will know what that's like in Central Scotland. I absolutely despise it. I don't follow Scottish football because of it, because I hate the sectarianism and all this, and my daughter's been brought into it. I like to think I'm pretty politically agnostic. I don't follow any of these ideals, but there's one cultural thing that I am actually quite proud of.
What's that?
My oldest boy knows about his Norwegian heritage, and that's rubbed off on my daughter.
Ah, right, okay.
Because she's apparently obsessed with Vikings.
Nice.
And she's completely unaware that she is one.
Yeah.
Which I think is pretty good. So, anyway.
No, that's interesting. And I do believe we'll get through to your son. I do. I think when I was his age, I was in the same boat. So I was. And your mum can't control you forever.
No, and I think the next important step that needs to be taken is that a child who's been subject to this, who's been alienated or removed from the contact of a parent, and it's not. But let's remember, it's not always men. There is some women that it happens to too. Is that one of the children should actually be able to sue a judge, a sheriff,
for failing to protect them.
Failing to protect them.
100%. 100%. Totally agree.
Yeah.
So these people need to be held accountable.
They do, because again, Sheriff Mackey in Glasgow Sheriff Court, pure lazy apathy. It's just like, I've got concerns, I'll order another report.
Yeah. Disgusting. Well, let's try and make that change. Let's carry on being as noisy as possible, doing whatever we can, and hopefully one day we can protect more kids.
I'd like to see that. I don't know how successful that would be, but
well, we've got to try.
We do.
Right, guys, we're going to have to wrap that up because that has been a long podcast. I feel like we could talk for days. I think we need to do a revisit. I know where you're at. Where you're saying there's no more you can do right now, but more to your story is going to happen. You know, it's going to.
There will.
So let's just hope that we can start with your eldest son.
I hope so.
I think that's the starting point. You know, hopefully can kind of break through in some way. Right, okay, mate. Well, thank you so much for coming down.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much for sharing your story, and I hope anything that Voice for Dads does in future, we can have you there supporting, helping.
I would very much like that.
Right, I think we're going to have to wrap up. Michael, you all good?
All good.
Right, guys, thank you so much for watching today's episode. That actually covered quite a lot of stories that we hear kind of in one, though. You know, a lot of them, nearly everyone's got parental alienation, the false accusations, the child abuse, the narcissism, it just goes on and on. But that Ian's story seems to have them all, unfortunately. But thank you so much for watching today's episode, for watching our podcast, for following Voice for Dads. Please like and subscribe on our YouTube channel. Please like and share all of our social media content. Anything that you do online to help spread the word of Voice for Dads is greatly, greatly appreciated. We thank you so much for the continued support, and please continue to reach out and follow our journey. So thanks again, Ian, and speak to you soon.
Been a pleasure. Thanks for taking the time.
Thank you. Right, guys, take care. See you soon. Bye.